What's going on, everyone? My name is Bancroft. Thank you for tuning in. And today we're going to go over the new Zen-oh leader from set 27. These reveals came out, I think, a week or so ago. But I finally get a chance to kind of look at the leader, build a deck for it, and we're going to kind of go from there. And like always, if you enjoy this stuff, let me know in the comments down below. And also, hey, hit a button or something. I don't know. Let me know what you think of this leader. Are you going to play it? All right. So we're starting off with the leader's front side. Now, this one of the few leaders that I think I've seen in a while doesn't awaken on turn 2. If you go first, unless your opponent swings with their leader and it has another card they can play with 1 energy and swings with that card, you're not going to awaken on turn 2, which I guess is all right, but it's the first leader in a while that I've seen be like this. I feel like for the longest time, every leader has been this is a guaranteed awaken turn 2 as long as nothing happens. This is the first leader you can't, because the auto is when this card attacks, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. Search top 3 cards of your deck for a blue god or up to 1 blue extra card to your hand, then place your remaining cards above your deck in any order. The awaken condition is when your life is 5 or less. Draw 2. If you go first, you're not getting that auto off. Your opponent attacks you only 1 time. You attack 1 time. Unless there's another way for you to take a life, you cannot awaken on your turn 2, which may be okay. But I don't know. I don't like that as much. I would rather awaken turn 2 if possible. In this, I know you could do certain Z battle cards to take the life if you wanted to, or I think there's some cards that could make you do that. But it's up to deck space, On the awaken, once you do awaken, you now want to attack, draw 1 card. Here's the kicker for this one. If your god card with an Invoker skill is in play, and you switch 1 red-blue multicolor extra card in your battle area to rest mode, when you activate a red-blue multicolor extra card from your hand, switch 1 of your energies to active mode, which is really cool, because if you recall how Invoker works, if you're trying to pay the cost for a red-blue extra card, and you have a card on board with Invoker skill, all you have to do is switch 1 of your energies that's both red and blue to rest mode, and there you go. Which is really cool. And also, Invoker doesn't specify from the hand, from what I recall reading in the rules. So later we're going to see the Z deck, and there's a new multicolor card there that could be played with Invoker. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but because the skill doesn't specify from hand, you're good to go. Activate main, once per turn, for 1 blue energy, remove 1 red-blue multicolor extra card in your battle area from the game, choose to 1 of your opponent's battle cards, and remove it from the game. Really cool additional, I want to say, tech for this leader, because you can use this to remove problematic blocker cards when you're trying to go for a game, or just problematic cards without barrier, which is pretty cool. But yeah, it's kind of nice, Starting out the deck, we're going to start with the 2 field cards, which is both Universe and Future. And starting off with Universe, when it's played, draw 1 card. Pretty simple as that. And actually the same thing for Future as well. But this card, permanent, your God battle cards with Invoker skill gains 5k power, which just having this card on the board will make you stronger, which is really cool. And as long as you have this card on the board as well, you get the leader secondary auto when you're trying to activate a red-blue extra card, which is pretty nice. And then Future, the only difference between Future and Universe is the activate main on this card. So it doesn't have the permanent, instead it has an activate main once per turn. If you have a blue god card in play, choose 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 7 or less, return it to the owner's hand. That is it. So as long as you have a blue god card in play, this effect works. And actually, because of that, I think this potentially may be a better card in long-term play, because you're always guaranteed to snipe a card out without using an energy, or without having to use the leader's ability for it. Granted, it does have an energy cost of 7 or less, but still, I think it's pretty good early on. And obviously, if you're going for super aggro or in-game pressure, Universe could be a better target instead. Going to the next 2 cards, which are your additional extra cards from this set. First one we're going with is Satisfying Parfait, which is a counterplay card or an activate battle card. The counterplay part of it is draw 1 card, choose to 1 of your opponent's battle cards or unisons, and he gets minus 20,000 power for the turn. Really strong, and that once again can be potentially free on your opponent's turn if you have still a multicolor card on the field that hasn't been switched to rest mode yet, because the leader's ability, which is pretty cool. It's not a your turn or your opponent's turn or even a once per turn skill. The activate battle, though, choose up to 1 of your god cards with Invoker skill, and it gets plus 15,000 power and double strike for the battle, which is just crazy strong for a card that could be potentially free. And that's why we have that one as a 4 of. And the other one we have here is the God Pad, which is a activate battle. It's a limit 1, draw 2 cards, choose up to one of your God battle cards with an Invoker skill, switch it to active mode, then choose one of your cards and it gets plus 15,000 powers for the battle, which is really cool because you can use this in a way of kind of restanding, say, a blocker, but you're also boosting another card on the field. Like if you use this for a defensive play instead, you can restand a blocker that's already block in, and then say give your leader the plus 15k because it just specifies choose one of your cards to get that. So you can use this as a way of defensive as well, which is really nice. And so far, every card I've mentioned pretty much replaces itself. Both Future and Universe on play draws you a card. If you use the counterplay on Satisfying Parfait, you get to draw a card. And Godpad draws you 2 cards, which is really cool. Over the next 2 cards are kind of like our recovery cards, which we over here for 1 energy. If your leader is Zen-oh, one who wipes away, you can play this card from your hand, add to 1 red-blue multicolor extra card with an energy cost of 2 from your drop to your hand, and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and return it to its own hand. What's really crazy with this is that you play Godpad, play Whis, get it back, do it again, or even Satisfying Parfait, and like having that plus 15k double strike on the fly is just so incredibly strong. Invados is practically the same thing. If your leader is Zen-oh, one who wipes away, play this card from your hand, add it to 1 red-blue multicolor extra card with energy cost 2 from your drop to your hand, then switch this card to active mode in return. She's 20k blocker for 1 energy. So like, I think ultimately I may change this up to be like a 4-2 or maybe even just 4-3. Like I feel like both these cards have strong value in their own unique way. Going over our next card is our kind of additional counterattack here, which negate the attack you play this card. But the permanent on this card is if you have a red-blue multicolor extra card in your battle area, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand by adding 1 card from your life to your hand instead of paying the energy cost, which is really cool. Having a free negate is always great. But in the activate battle, discard 1 red-blue multicolor card from your hand, draw 1 card, then choose one of your cards, and it gets plus 11,000 power for the battle. This just goes really good. Also, like I said, you could negate someone's attack, activate battle on their secondary attack, whatever. Discard one of these 2-drop cards here, one of these, whatever it is. Play Whis or Vados on the next turn and get that card back. So it just replaces it, which is pretty cool. But yeah, I like that card as well. The next 2 we're going to go over is Beerus and Champa. These are kind of like the key battle cards for the deck. Beerus is your crit invoker. When this card's played, chooses one of your opponent's battle cards or Unison, gets minus 20,000 power for the turn. And then it's just 1 energy to play as long as your leader's awakened, which is really cool. And this combined with the Satisfying Parfait is just incredibly strong. Because like I said earlier, with the leader's ability to, on the auto, you have a God of an Invoker on board, you switch 1 red-blue multicolor extra card in your battle area, which would be one of your field cards. When you activate the red-blue multicolor extra card from your hand, because you have Invoker, that's going to be just 1 energy. You switch 1 energy back to active mode. So you're just getting a free 15k double strike on top of this crit already, which is just really strong. So yeah. And then Champa over here, what makes Champa so good is his permanent, really. If you have a red multicolor card other than this card energy, you negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas, which is great. He is also a dual attack, so when you play him, he's a 20k dual attack with Invoker. It swings twice, which is always strong. But really, we play 4 for sure on this one, because I almost brought this one down to 3, but I was like, oh wait, no. We need to guarantee this card to be played, and also for our energy. So yeah. And the next card is kind of the same thing. It's Fuzima, so he doesn't have Invoker, but he can gain Invoker. But also he ignores energy exhaustion as well, as long as you have another card in the energy. But activate main for 1 blue energy. You draw 1 card, play this card in hand. Of those 3 cards, he's the only one that actually allows you to draw a card, which is really cool. And then activate main, you discard 1 God card with an Invoker skill from your hand. This card gains Invoker for the turn. Obviously, this is not your go-to target. This is, in my opinion, your go-to charge target in most cases. If for some reason you want to play this card, because this card will stick when it hits the board, because it has indestructible. Your opponent will have to negate its skills and then remove it, or they will have to neg it down to 0. So yeah. Next card we got here is the Grand Priest, which is really for any deck as long as your leader is red or blue. But he's Invoker. He is dual attack. He's 25k. He does cost 2 energy to play. If your leader is red or blue and you have 3 or more energy, draw 3 cards. Play this card from your hand. Then place 2 cards from your hand on top of your owner's deck in any order at the end of your opponent's turn. So it kind of gives you like you draw 3, and then you get to put 2 back later down the road. By later down the road, whenever your opponent's turn is over with. That's a little hit or miss in my opinion. Sure, because you're drawing the cards ahead of time, and then you put the cards back on top of your deck. And at that point, it kind of feels almost like those are wasted draws. Because like if you have a hand that isn't that great, you're not gonna be thrilled to what you're drawing into now. Like it's not a surprise. Like, oh, this card could be the card. It's like, oh, I already know what I'm drawing into. And that's why it's a 3 of. And this is actually one of the few cards I feel like going down to a 2 of actually. But as right now, it's just a 3 of. And these are the key cards from the set that were revealed for the set, obviously. And I kind of want to touch base on these cards first before I go into the rest of the deck, because the rest of the deck is more or less a few tech pieces and then just good blue stuff, really. But we start off with from like draft box 3, I think, no 2, and it's Beers and Weiss. What makes this card so good is that it also has Invoker. It's a blocker for 20k, but it's a free play. If you have 3 or more energy, when one of your red blue cards is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, play this card from your hand, and you can't play another copy of this card for the turn. So if they just happen to remove your final Invoker, you have another Invoker ready to go for defensive plays. But also though, if it's your opponent's turn, when you play this card at the end of your turn, you place this card at the bottom of the owner's deck, and you draw 1 card. So I mean, it will remove itself as well, but it just kind of gives that little extra protection. And I only play 2 of those. So I feel like this deck, even though I'm playing the deck at 55 cards, still going to be tweaked and adjusted at some point. I feel like you're gonna see this between all the draws and draws 2s. You should see this card. If you don't, it's no biggie. You have enough cards that you're constantly playing anyways. Next 2 are gonna be just old school red blue multicolor cards. I think are always great. Now, granted, they are 3 costs, so you can't recover these once you've used them. But the first one is Sleepy Boy Technique, which is a negate, draw 2 cards, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards, return to the owner's hand. In this case, it can be free or just a 1 energy, but it stops potentially 2 attacks because it stops 1, sends another card away, and you draw 2 cards. So it replaces itself and gains additional card, which is just great. The other one is Emperor's Death Beam, which just activate main/battle, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and he gets minus 30,000 power for duration of a turn. You can't go wrong with that, because like even in like a pinch, like in a pinch, if your opponent's going for a game and they're comboing out, you still have this card to go no and just get rid of it pretty much. Also though, when this card's in your drop area, you can activate the main, send it to your warp, look top card of your deck. If it's a multicolor extra card, you may add it to your hand. Otherwise, you place top card of your deck. The only good part about that skill is with Grand Priest, because like I said, Grand Priest will make you put 2 cards back top of your deck. The way you do that, so that way you're not intentionally drawing that same card twice. If you have Emperor's Death Beam already in your drop when you're finishing this skill off, you put the card you want to draw, and then the second card, make sure it's an extra card that's blue-red. And so that way you could just draw for turn, charge the energy, then activate Emperor's Death Beam from the drop area, and then draw that secondary card back to your hand. It will reveal to your opponent what it is, but that way you're getting to your deck faster for other plays as well. Our next card is just your super combo. It's an Invoker deck. Every card we're playing will practically draw you a card to some degree. Having this super combo to be able to restand the cards, the energy you need to do that is just, yeah, fantastic. I mean, I don't know what else to say about that. Now, granted, it does have to be your opponent's turn for this one to work, but it's an old school card. I think for red-blue decks that either do Invoker or stuff like that, it's a good one. Next one, we do a 1 of Vegeta, and really we could go down Grand Priest and bring up Vegeta up by 1, and he's just kind of like a secondary boss monster. If you see him, cool. If you don't, it shouldn't be it shouldn't make a difference really. For 2 energy, if your leader is blue and you have 3 or more energy, you play this card from your hand. Dual attack, but the permanent of this card, if this card's attack would be negated by a skill on one of your opponent's cards, you may choose 1 Z card in your battle area or unison area, remove it from game instead. Depending on what you're playing or have on the board, those cards may be more important, but if you're trying to get this attack out, that right there isn't a bad idea. Especially since the Z cards that you may have don't really benefit this card as much. So yeah, and I'll talk about those cards later. Going over our last few cards, we have just an additional negate. This one is the Floodgate. It's entry 17. Only playing 2 of, and probably mainly because like a lot of these cards have ways of dealing secondary cards. So like I feel like the gates, or at least the gates we use, aren't as important. But you can always adjust numbers. Like I think I would, if I were to adjust something after doing a little more testing, brings Fuse Zamasu down by 1, unless I feel like it's really strong to have him as a 4 for the energy charge. Maybe bring Sleep Boy down, but Sleep Boy draws you cards, which is really good. So it just comes down to testing and seeing what you like in your ratios. Obviously, 3-dimension magics. I say obviously because normally you play 4 of, and once again, it's just going to adjusting to what you feels right. And yeah, I could probably bring the this extra card. Oh my gosh, this negate down by 1. It's a 2 of. Instead, bring Dimension Magic up by 1. That way you have your energy constantly available for you as well. Yeah, I think that would be the better play. Let me know in the comments what you think about that one. And the last one's my secret rare, which right now I'm playing Beast Gohan. I don't know what, there it is. You could do Hatch if you want to do great defensive, but Beast Gohan's just a great card for 2 energy. It practically removes your opponent's entire board and possibly makes them lose a life. And then you can attack this card and use the activate main / battle to restand this card, giving it crit, making a dual attack crit, 40k. And then you can also restand something else or even energy to continue furthering plays as well, which is just really good overall. Going over to the Z deck, the first one I want to talk about is Destruction of Mogina. This card is okay. What makes it okay, good though, is I don't know why I said the word okay. Like this card's really good for this deck because something I didn't touch base on. Your multicolor cards are 1 cost 10k combos. This card right here will remove that for you. So permanent, if your leader is Blue God, reduce the combo cost of God cards with the Invoker skill in your hand by 1, which is really cool. That's 3 of the 4 that we play. And then activate Battle. Remove this card from game. Choose one of your Beerus cards with Invoker skill and it gets plus 15,000 power for the battle. Like I mentioned earlier, that mix with Satisfying Parfait on top of this Beerus makes that a 50k crit dual attack. Now granted, the 50k is only that first initial attack, but still like, sorry, double strike. Double strike was the word I meant to say. 50k crit double strike, which is just really strong. And depending on how you play it out, that could be just free. You're just expending resources you already have without paying any of the energy for it. And also, if you don't have the Beerus on board, that's a great ZX card to have on the board to use Vegeta. Like, it doesn't serve any other purpose but for the Beerus and getting those combos off for you as well. So you maintain this as long as you need to, and when you need to pop it, make sure you combo the cards that you want to combo off first. The second one we'll go over is Shin. He's our battle card. He's hitting the board. He is staying on the board. He has Deflect, Barrier, Dual Attack, and Blocker. So pretty much you just attack him once and then leave him to block second attack, block one of your opponent's attacks, or just attack twice. The auto on this card, place 1 card from your hand on top of the owner's deck. When this card is played, look up to top 5 cards of your deck, add up to 1 Universe 7 card or Blue God card to your hand, shuffle your deck, then choose one of your opponent's battle cards and reduce its power by the same amount as the power on the card added to your hand. So like if you add a 20k battle card to your hand, then your opponent's card gets reduced by 20k, which is just really strong. Next couple cards are just kind of tech pieces. Starting off the Unisons, right now we're just sitting at Son Goku for 2 red energy. He will just once return neg a card by 20k, and if you have to get the -7 off, great. it's kind of its own built-in negate system practically. Your opponent needs to combo a lot of cards because their attacks become 1. And then the other one is just the Deborah Unison. It's a dual attack blocker, -1. Choose when one of your opponent's cards attack, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and they get a skill for turn, and it can't attack for turn. Once again, another card that will help shut down a secondary attack when needed to. And then the activate main here is choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, place it at the bottom of the owner's deck, and then switch one of your mono blue energies to active mode at the end of your turn, giving you that additional resource that you need during your opponent's turn as well, which I think is really good. Next couple 3 cards are just kind of like scenario-ish cards. We have Rush Attack Vegeta, which won't get half his auto because half of it's you come with a mono red card, but you'll still get the neg on it. You can still do the activate main for it. You're getting the double strike, restanding, 10k power. So yeah, it's really strong. Beerus, if you have the energy for it, great. 3 attacks that will bounce 3 cards, I think, 1 for each attack. And then sell, could possibly get rid of a board. Obviously, that depends on if your opponent's battle cards are in class 5 or less. But yeah, that's my current take on the Zen-oh deck. I haven't really done a lot of testing with it yet, so I'm just kind of sticking with this one build so far. I've never played Invoker before, so something new to look at for myself. I've always had other people who are more interested in playing it, but you know, it is what it is. Thank you all for tuning in. Hope you all enjoy. And like I said, let me know what you think of this list. Let me know what you're doing for this leader if you're interested in playing this leader as well. But that's kind of wraps it up. Thanks for tuning in. Bye. Oh yeah, there's stuff on the screen. Don't forget about those things.